Hi guys, welcome to Depresso Beans. I'm Squish,
And it's why.
and today we're just gonna do like a little life update, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Little. Is it a vlog?
Uh,
Do you have to like go places for it to be considered a vlog?
right? Like, what is the
What is
vague?
what is a vlog?
What is the vaguest definition of a vlog? Because I feel like this is a vlog.
But it's also like kind of a video diary, and what's the difference betwixt
I
those
don't
two?
know what the difference is. Yeah, we're just gonna have a little chit chat about some things that have been going on in our lives. So, for a little bit of context, I was working for a university
Through a temp agency.
through a temp agency as a cleaner. I was just going in. I had a specific building that I was assigned, and I would like take out trash, clean bathrooms, that sort of deal. And I was told that a job was guaranteed after 6 months. So I stuck it out for the whole 6 months.
You were there for 5.5.
5.5.
Yeah.
Technically. Because just before the 6 months was gonna come up, they decided to let me go because they didn't want to deal with the hiring process. They didn't want to do the paperwork because the supervisor that I had hadn't hired anybody in a year.
Two. Or
No, yeah.
right.
In a year.
They had only hired 2 people in the 2 years they had been working there.
And they didn't want to deal with it. So they figured it would just be easier to hire more temps.
And he had been getting glowing reviews from like everybody he was working with. Like when he cleaned offices, people would email his supervisor telling them what a good job he did.
Yeah. It didn't matter how hard I worked. It was just, at the end of the day, it was a matter of convenience. And I was no longer convenient.
And it really solidified that capitalism isn't about working your hardest and that's how you grow and get stability, and it's fake. It's a lie.
Yeah, I mean, like, in America specifically, I feel like, it's hammered over your head as a kid that, like, if you work hard enough, if you're smart enough, if you're strong enough, you can do anything. But in reality, that's just a lie that's force-fed to you so that you're complacent.
So that when you don't succeed, you feel like it's your fault and not the system's fault. And it's not your fault. It is the system's fault.
Yeah, because, I mean, I worked my ass off. I made sure that I cleaned every little detail I could find. I did everything right. It came down to somebody else's decision, and I had no say. And I got notified that I lost my job through a text message.
It's even more fucked up than that because the day before he got that text message, his manager was like, "We're starting the hiring process."
Right? They told me that they were wanting to hire me, that we were going to do it by the end of the month, that like, yada yada yada, all the
Put him on the
fluff.
schedule. Like we were really excited, and
Right?
like we felt like things were finally starting to stabilize in our lives.
Right? Like, I was gonna go to school there because they provide free tuition for their workers. So I was making plans to sign up for the next semester. Uh, I was bringing in all sorts of things for my coworkers, like snacks and treats and stuff, because I wanted to help. I wanted to feel more included, and
None of it mattered.
yeah, none of it mattered. So I'm a little bit depressed.
Yeah.
I'd say the both of us probably.
Yeah, it's been hard. We've also recently decided to quit smoking weed, and so that kind of coincided right together, and that's been hard.
Cause like, the both of us started smoking weed years and years ago. Like, it's been a long formed habit. And, I'm not saying that smoking weed in general is bad.
No,
Because
we're not talking about anybody's, like, we're not talking about anybody else but ourselves.
But as for the two of us, it got to a point where we were using it more as a coping mechanism rather than a tool. And it just got to a point where we were smoking all the time, every day, and it was impeding our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And so we quit. But then I lost my job, and those cravings hit hard.
Yeah. When I'm feeling particularly depressed, like, kind of the go-to for a long time was, all right, smoke a bowl. And now that is not really an option for us. And it's like, okay, how do I deal with these
Right?
feelings?
How do I deal with these valid feelings? How do I plan for the future when I feel like my future was taken away? How do I function when I feel like my own existence is a burden? It sucks. But like we're getting through it, we're not like hopeless. I've been putting out feelers for new jobs. I've been looking into other schools. I'm not giving up. Neither of us are giving up, but it's just heartbreaking that I didn't matter to the people that I thought I mattered to. We didn't matter
Yeah,
to the people.
literally, they on his last performance review said that he was an indispensable asset to the team.
Mm-hmm. So much for that.
It's just words.
It's all smoke and mirrors to hide the truth. That at the end of the day, they don't care.
They don't want to hire people. They want temps. They want the high turnover, and then they just pretend they pretended like they were going to hire you to keep you there as long as you could be a temp.
Yeah, and like this supervisor, 1 minute they'd be like, "Oh, well, I'm kind of wishy-washy on whether I want to hire you because of this and this and this." All these little tiny details that didn't really matter. And then other days she's like, "Oh, well, you're fantastic. You're great. I want to hire you." It was just to get me to work harder, and it worked. I worked really hard. And then when I was disposable, they got rid of me. Capitalism sucks. It's not equal like a lot of people think it is.
No. I mean, even my like well-off stepdad is dealing with the effects of a boss who doesn't care about him. He's been working at this company for 18 years. He has put his life, it is his life.
He co-founded that business.
Yeah, and and has watched it expand from like a small part of the country to a multinational business.
Right?
And now he's being fired because they want to increase profits before a sale.
Mm-hmm.
And that's literally the reason.
Yep. That's all it is.
And it's like if a white cis man who has been at a company for almost 2 decades isn't secure.
Who is?
And the answer is people who already have wealth. Like,
right?
That's it.
Yeah.
Those are the only secure people.
The people that have that nest egg that don't ever have to worry about running out.
Right.
Because they have so much.
Their families had that money for generations, and so they don't.
Like, oh my god, when I heard the news that like Kanye West had
I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but he got new chompers.
He got the new chompers. It's he got titanium dentures for $850,000.
Do you know how many houses we could buy for $850,000?
It's crazy. Just if I had $850,000,
you wouldn't buy teeth.
Yeah. Teeth. It's sad to realize that you aren't even worth a man's teeth.
And I saw this thing on online, and it was like, if the rich like think that like living off the state is so great, and like if trickle down economics actually works, so why don't we just get rid of the rich's money, give it to other people, because they'll just work really hard and make that money again, right?
Supposedly.
Well, no, that's how it works. That's what they keep telling us. So if we take all of Jeff Bezos' money, he'll just start again and work really hard and get it all back.
Right?
That's how it works.
Sure.
And if he
Sure.
doesn't want to work really hard, then he can just live off the government because that's super easy and everyone can like wants to do that. And like he'd be living pretty much the same life, right?
Not even close.
They don't even believe the lies they're trying to get us to believe.
Mm-hmm. Living off the government is hard. You have to constantly put in all of this paperwork pretty much every month, and then if you miss it even once, you lose it and you have to start from the beginning. And
Or if somebody at the county makes a mistake, you lose it, and it's
Yeah.
like I did everything right and I still don't get to eat. Great,
awesome,
fantastic.
fantastic.
Oh my God.
Thanks for that.
Speaking of eating,
Mm-hmm.
our fucking refrigerator broke, and so all of our frozen food thawed out, which means even though we have 2 weeks before we get SNAP again, we don't have food. There are places you're supposed to call when you have food insecurity, and they're like, okay, well, here's your closest food banks. We can't get there.
We don't have a vehicle.
car. There's no options for, like, getting food delivered from a food bank.
Yeah.
We don't know people with cars.
We're on our own, and no one cares.
And it's like, you call these people and you tell them their problems, and they're like, okay, well, there's nothing I can do.
Oh, well, I wish I could help.
It's like, then why is this resource even here?
Right? A lot of people in this country, are expected to be assisted by their family members if they fall short on something.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I had to deal with student loans, they're like, oh, well, don't you have a family member that you could borrow money from? Like, what if I'm ostracized from my family?
They literally asked us that. Well, it was like, can't you ask somebody?
Like, ask somebody for thousands of dollars? Sure, I'll try to find somebody.
Yeah, why don't I ask you, stranger on the phone? Because
Right.
you're gonna say yes just as likely as my mom is.
Yeah.
Which is to say, she doesn't give me money.
Yeah, she's sitting there in her house that's worth...
Which one?
Oh, yeah, that's true. She has multiple houses, each worth
I don't know how much.
thousands of dollars. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. And we are constantly insecure in housing, in food, in money, in every aspect of life. But it doesn't matter. And if we don't matter to our own family members, who would care?
Yeah.
Who do we matter to? Because the government certainly doesn't care.
Our employers don't care. Our friends care, but they're just as poor and broke as we are.
Right?
And gay.
I mean, that's probably part of it.
I mean, that's why my mom doesn't help me.
Yeah.
Like, she helps my brother a ton, but I'm trans and queer, and she doesn't want to deal with that. She doesn't want to deal with me because I'm not who she wanted me to be.
Yeah, when you brought up the idea of moving closer to her for just to be there, let alone for help, she's just like, oh, well, it'd be hard for you.
Yeah.
When really, what she was saying is it'd be hard for her, and she didn't want to deal with it.
And that really hurt to hear. I mean, my own mother told me, no, I don't want you to live by me.
Right? You're not wanted, actually. It's horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I've got some family that's willing to help me, like my grandmother. She lives a couple hours away, though, and she is housebound. She's like close to 90 years old, like what can she do? And I've got, an aunt that's relatively well off, but
She doesn't help.
she doesn't help. She only really cares about her sons. And her sons' families. But when it comes to me, she'll occasionally pick me up for a family function.
Yeah. But that's about it. She'll let us borrow the van if we're moving.
Right? But that's it. If I ever need help in terms of money or anything, I'm shamed. Literally, I'm told I'm irresponsible when I ask for help, and so I stopped. Because it's not about being irresponsible.
Yeah,
I did everything right.
yeah. Like we have stuck to a budget. We have been consistent. But how do you plan for being told you're going to get hired and then you're fired the same day?
Mm-hmm.
Who
And
can plan for that?
right, and like when we moved here, we had made so many different plans.
When we moved to this house, we had no idea there wasn't public transportation in this area.
Right, because I had looked at an old transportation map, and when that map was made,
There was.
there was, and so I thought there was, but there isn't anymore. They cut public transportation down to just downtown, and we're on the outskirts, so we're just stuck. And we moved here so that I could work, you know,
We would have better job opportunities.
because where we were living before, there was nothing.
It was the middle of fucking butt crack nowhere.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, there are jobs here, but only if they're willing to hire you. And
And as we've seen, there everyone is willing to fire you. Like there's no job stability. You can be working your ass off for years at a place and a new manager can come in and decide, "No, we don't need you." Like it
mm-hmm. No one is safe except for the rich, and everyone else is just expected to be stepped on and be happy about it. I'm not happy about it.
it's not working. We need a new system. I mean, at the very least, jobs should have to give you a warning. Like, you're expected to give 2 weeks warning if you quit, but jobs can fire you same day, same hour.
Mm-hmm.
How is that? Like, this
Equal.
country clearly does not care about workers,
Mm-hmm.
and that is prevalent in every aspect of our lives,
Mm-hmm.
and not just our lives, obviously.
But it's what we have the most context for.
Right. And like they're fucking lowering the age of children being allowed to work and increasing the hours children are allowed to work, and it that only helps the people who already have money.
Mm-hmm. It only helps the corporations. Corporations are. It's starting to become the case that corporations can vote at corporations already can vote through lobbying,
Through money, yeah.
pretty much. It's just more concrete now than it ever has been before.
Our government cares more about corporations than it does people.
Mm-hmm. And sure, individuals can boycott, individuals can write to their local congressperson, individuals can do a lot, but no one cares unless it impacts their pockets. And even massive boycotts don't always impact their pockets, and so they don't care. Like, look at Starbucks. A bunch of people are boycotting Starbucks because of their donations to Israel, but as soon as they released that new hot pink Stanley Cup,
Everyone was there.
everyone was there.
All of a sudden, it didn't matter.
Starbucks is doing just fine. America is doing not America, but the government, the people in power, they're doing just fine. They are completely fine with the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people because it lines their own wealth.
And it, as heartbreaking as all of those people, the lives lost is, it's not just their lives as well, it's their culture, it's their history. A really old mosque recently got blown up, and with it, hundreds of years of written history of human history that we're fine with destroying because we don't view those people as human.
People actively weep over the burning of the Library of Alexandria, and yet when this mosque gets burned down, there are no tears shed. It's just people only care about certain types of culture. Yeah. And it ties right back into, the poor. Like, even in our own country, we are erasing our own culture by letting people die. Like, I think of the area that I grew up in the Appalachian Mountains.
How many people died from COVID?
So many people died from COVID, and with them, their memories and their stories, and yeah.
And it doesn't matter. We've just moved on. We're pretending like that's normal.
It's so far from normal. Even 1,000 years ago, there was the patriarchy. There was obviously flaws with society, as there has been for all of society,
At
but
least in the like European world.
Yeah. But at least I'd like to think people took care of each other.
I mean, we don't really know.
Yeah. What I mean is that, like, as it is right now, people don't care for one another.
You can't go ask your neighbor for sugar. You don't know your neighbor. I mean, most likely, you do not know your neighbor's name. You might know their face. You obviously know where they live. But you don't know anything about them. We have focused so much on individuality in this country that we have forgotten that we are a social species who require each other to survive. That is how we evolved. That is what we're programmed for.
Yeah. Like, a lot of conservatives cry and scream about the breaking down of the family unit, and yet
the family unit broke down the human community.
Yeah. That's already been broken and stripped for a long time. They just say it now because it makes them look and feel better.
They've literally been saying that, like, the family unit is breaking and, like, falling apart for the past at least 100 years. The conservatives have.
Mm-hmm.
And not just in America either. It is a talking point for conservatives
everywhere,
all around the world, that the family is shattering and the blank is causing the family to break. None of it's true.
Yeah, just it's all, like I said before, it's like a smokescreen.
It is. It is a way to keep people distracted from the actual problems that are going on in this country.
Like, like, off the top of my head, like, the homeless, the unhoused population, you know, like, it's skyrocketed.
In every city. Not even the cities. In almost every area of the country, homeless, the homeless population has increased. I want to say like 12% over the entire country, but I don't quote me on that.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's also a problem globally, even. But I mean, yeah, we have the most context for America because we live in America.
Right.
So, like, I heard this recent news story just today about a pastor from Ohio that got charged 18 times for trying to house the homeless in his church.
Literally doing what churches are supposed to be doing got him criminally charged.
I saw this picture of him get at this, like, press release, and he looked like he was about to fucking cry.
Or had been crying.
And it's just, why put someone through so much anguish for doing a good thing? And it comes down to, well, we don't like the unhoused. We don't like them. We don't like to see them. So stop it.
You know, children are going hungry in this country. And the government's cutting off funding, being like, well, they don't need more food during summer, right? Like, why would they need more food? And literally one of the congressmen said, well, a lot of the kids are fat, so they don't need to eat.
Rather than the fact that, oh, gee, I don't know, maybe it might be because processed food is all that can be afforded and it's not good for you.
but also, like, no, it doesn't matter
Right.
if they're fat or not.
They still need to eat.
And not all of them are fat. Like, that is just so beyond the point.
Right? It's
You
so
can be fat and not eat. Trust me, I know.
yeah.
It
It just feels like every issue going on in this country all ties back to a corrupted system. People on all sides of the aisle agree that the system is wrong, but disagree on why.
and the actual politicians on all sides of the aisle don't actually care.
Yeah,
They don't need to fix the problems because
they're
that's
fine.
not what they're getting paid for.
Yeah.
They're usually getting paid to keep things just as they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I say they're getting paid, and you're thinking, well, don't the taxpayers pay them? And, well, we do give them a great salary. They also get tons of donations, benefits, trips, gifts, lobbying. Money goes towards politicians, and it's almost always to keep things as they are.
Yeah.
How cute is this dress, though?
It's so cute. It's so fucking cute. And it shows off your tattoo really nicely. Yeah. I like this too. It's good. The whole look is very good.
I'm slaying.
Yes. It's been a lot to deal with. A lot to wrap one's mind around because we've both been anti-capitalist for a long time, but to actively see the effects of capitalism in your own life day by day
It
and
hurts.
to see yourself crumbling
Because of the system putting the pressure on you. It feels like we're a little ant with a magnifying glass. And capitalism's like, well, if you run fast enough, you won't get burned.
right. That's a life update. We are sad and trying to move forward, but it's not easy.
So for now, we're just gonna keep trying to look cute and move on.
Keep trying. And to anybody else that may be going through similar things, because I know that we're not the only ones.
I mean, yeah, it's everywhere.
You're seen, and
You're not alone.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry that things are this way. It's not fair for anybody.
And I hope we can change it.
One day at a time. It's been Bly
And Squish.
Bye.
But before we do,
No. Did you... So, you can't see what's going on, but
I've made a mistake.